Alan Watts says that sometimes we can become so consumed with improving our lives that we forget to live them. And I see this a lot of the times with myself, especially, as well as some of the other guys that I talk to who are on self improvement. They seem to have a very hard time learning to let go of this self improvement compulsion and actually enjoy and live their lives while still improving themselves. So, I'm going to give you the best advice that I've found that I've used in my life that helped me deal with this. And I'll point out before I start, like, I struggled with this when I first started my self improvement journey too. I had a very hard time, especially when it came to detaching myself from that 24/7 productivity mindset. And I struggled with enjoying the moment very often, even when it came to something as simple as like sitting down and enjoying dinner with my family. Like, I was so focused on turning my life around that I would take my food downstairs and continue to work while eating so I wouldn't be wasting any time. But now I've been able to rekindle that capacity to enjoy the little moments more, even if they might not seem productive. For example, one of the things that I've really been enjoying lately is biking down to the lake that's near my house and sitting at the foot of this big tree that's right on the lake. And I'll just sit there and think for a while. Like, I sometimes I won't even bring my phone because I've tried the 6 to 8 hour training days when I was training to become a professional soccer player. I've tried the 14, 16, 18 hour work days of just scripting and recording videos. But what I've come to realize is that the thing that we're all looking for is improvement in ourselves and trying to become the best version of ourselves, right? But more importantly, we want to build a routine for ourselves that's sustainable over the long term. And if you push yourself so hard at the beginning, you destroy the sustainability of that routine over time. For example, when it comes to scripting and recording videos for me, I've found that at my current state, anything over like 5 or 6 hours is completely counterproductive because whatever I gain in hour 7 or 8, I'll end up losing it in the next day or two because my brain isn't recovered enough from the previous day's work. But like I said, I do think that you need to push yourself past your limits so that you can find those limits and then retract yourself back to a sustainable level that you can maintain for that period of time. And everyone's limit is different. So I recommend that as early as you can, whether you're in your teens, 20s, or 30s, don't think that you're too young or too old to get started. But I think that you should push yourself as quickly as possible and find those limits as fast as possible, and then pull back the reins and adjust for sustainability over a long period of time, which is what has worked best for me and the guys that I've helped in their self-improvement journeys so far. And to add on to another point, something that I've noticed is that your baseline of sustainability and your level of stress tolerance that you can retract to actually increases over time if you continue to push those limits, not every single day, but every 1 to 2 weeks. I really want you to push the envelope and see what your body and your mind are truly capable of, whether it's training in the gym or working on your computer. The main thing that I want you to remember during this period of time is to keep your health in order. Make sure you're still eating clean foods, sleeping efficiently as you can. And I'm not going to say sleep as much as you can because, at least for me, when I go through these periods of time, I'm going to be honest, I usually only get about 3 to 5 hours of sleep at night, but that's just me. I know how I can operate on that little of sleep and still put in very high amounts of output and volume and still train and do that for weeks or even months at a time. But the main thing to remember is how can we detach ourselves once these periods of time are over? Like for me, when I go through a period of time where I go hard as fuck, I really like to enjoy the time that I'm not working. Like, I'll still wake up early and put a few hours in the morning. I'll still get my training session in for the day. But after I get that block of work done from like 4 or 5 in the morning to about 8 or 9 a.m., then as my family and my girlfriend are just waking up, my work for the day is complete and I can spend the rest of the day with them and enjoy every second of it because, one, I know that in the weeks prior, I really put the pedal to the fucking floor, and two, I know that these couple of days that I spend doing the bare minimum essentially will rekindle my flame so I can hit the ground back running again when I come back with a new and improved baseline of sustainable energy towards improving myself every day. So if you think about it, I've essentially doubled my quote unquote playtime while simultaneously resetting my productivity baseline for when I return back to that mode. And a lot of this stuff has been discovered by people who study animal behavior. Like, for example, there was this one study that I remember where they take rats, and when the rats play, it produces prefrontal lobe development in the brain, which is a part of the brain that is responsible for the highest order cognition. So rats are very similar to humans in terms of how they study them, apparently. And so both rats and humans have to play in order to mature properly. And as humans, we play through socially and social interactions. For example, deep conversations at the dinner table or just basic roundtable talk is a form of social play because there's wit and there's jokes and there's timing of the jokes and there's matching certain facial expressions and responses to different physical responses of the other person. So it's like play essentially. But play is very easily inhibited by almost any other motivational state in our brains. And so if you can get yourself in a playful mood, you're in an optimal state essentially, and it's a good sign that things are going in the right direction and that you're still improving. So I want you to stop beating yourself up all the time if you were like me a few months ago, where not being productive every single minute of the day bothered the fuck out of you. So I hope this one helped, and I will see you tomorrow, my friend.